Hi, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our devotion for today, March 22nd, 2021, is from the Gospel of John, the 9th chapter, verses 1 through 17. Verse 1 and following. As he passed by, he saw a man blind from birth, and his disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he is born blind?" Well, it seems to be human nature that we are inquisitive and ask questions to learn answers. Here, the disciples asked Jesus, who sinned to cause this man to be born blind? The man himself or his parents? Well, now the first part of the question seems ridiculous because it would require the man to sin prior to his birth in order for him to be born blind. The second part, well, that could be a possibility. It could be the fault of the parents, couldn't it? Exodus 20, verse 5 says, "You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I am the Lord your God, and I am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me." The context of this, of course, is for the sin of idolatry, a violation of the first commandment. However, Ezekiel 18, verse 20 says, "On the other hand, the soul who sins shall die. The son shall not suffer for the iniquity of the father, nor the father suffer for the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon himself, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon himself." So, what is the case for this man born blind? Verse 3, Jesus answered, "It was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be displayed in him." So Jesus tells his disciples that it isn't because of this man's sins or the sins of his parents that he's born blind. He's born blind so that the works of God might be displayed in and through him. He was born blind for this very moment of healing, to show the power of God at work through Jesus. They'll see it and be able to tell others about it, to testify about it. Verse 4 and following, "We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." Having said these things, he spit on the ground and made mud with the saliva. Then he anointed the man's eyes with mud and said to him, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing. So Jesus tells his disciples that he and they must perform the works of God the Father who sent him into the world while it is day. That is, while his light is shining, because the day is coming when he's going to be crucified and we will be in darkness. So he makes mud out of spit and the dirt from the earth and applies it to the eyes of this man born blind. And this calls to mind, whenever I read it, the story of Adam being made from the dust of the earth, and that God is the creator. Perhaps another visual that is really appropriate here is that God is the potter to this clay man who he was not finished making, but now has come the time for him to finish. And that is what this mud made of Jesus' spittle and the dirt of the earth will be used for. After the mud is applied to the man's eyes, Jesus tells him to go wash in the pool of Siloam. And so the man went because he was sent by Jesus, and he washes and he comes back and he is able to see. This is a reminder to us that even in our own blindness, spiritual or otherwise, Jesus is still able to work on us so that our eyes are opened, giving us the ability to see new, to see things perhaps in a different light, or to see things for the very first time. It is also a sign that Jesus may not be done making us into who it is that he wants us to be. so that we might serve the Lord and his purposes better. Verse 8 and following, the neighbors and those who had seen him before as a beggar were saying, "Is this not the man who used to sit and beg?" And some said, "It is he." And others said, "No, but someone like him." And he kept saying, "I am the man." So they said to him, Then how were your eyes opened?" And he answered, "The man called Jesus made mud and anointed my eyes and said to me, 'Go to Siloam and wash.' So I went and washed and received my sight." And they said to him, "Where is he?" And he said, "I do not know." So many of the man's neighbors realized something happened to this man, something wonderful. Some wouldn't believe, thinking he was maybe somebody who looked like the guy, but many did believe it was him, and he testified that he was the man who had been born blind and could now see. And it's a miracle. And they asked him how it happened, and he tells them, well, Jesus is the one who had done this for him. And so now the people hear the story, and they are going to go tell others about it. They're going to testify to the work that Jesus has done in restoring this man's sight, or giving this man sight for the first time. Verse 13 and following, they brought to the Pharisees the man who had formerly been blind. And now it was the Sabbath day that Jesus made the mud and opened his eyes. So the Pharisees asked him again how he had received his sight. And he said to them, "He put mud on my eyes, and I washed, and I see." And some of the Pharisees said, "Well, this man is not from God, for he does not keep the Sabbath." But others said, "How can a man who is a sinner do such signs?" And there was a division among them. And so they said again to the man born blind, "What do you say about him, since he opened your eyes?" And he said, "He is a prophet." So once again, Jesus does a healing on a Sabbath. And the greater concern among the Pharisees is not the fact that the man has had his vision given to him, and he can now see. Theirs is not a joy over that. Instead, it's a concern over the fact that he did this on the Sabbath. And so some of them feel if he was a godly man, he wouldn't do any of the works on the Sabbath. And others keep saying, well, how could a sinner, do these works without God? And so they're divided, they're split. And there's a lot of people who are divided about Jesus and who he really is. So they asked the man, what he thinks of Jesus. Who is Jesus? He says that he thinks Jesus is a prophet. Well, even though the man is only partially right in his claim that Jesus is a prophet, which is really a title meaning a man of God through whom God speaks and works, and that certainly happened, with Jesus, because, he really was God, and, so God did speak and work through him. His healing of this man is a testimony to others about Jesus and who he might really be. And this is what we should all be doing. We should all be pointing others to Jesus so that they may discuss or argue and debate and come to some conclusion about who Jesus really is. But we on this side of the cross know that Jesus is much more than a prophet. He is, in fact, the Son of the living God. He is the Savior of the world, and he is certainly the Messiah of Israel. So let us point others to Jesus. Let us tell others what our Savior has done for us in our life and what he has done for others and their life. Go in peace. Serve the Lord.